All right, so let's go over Auto Club and kind of look back at the last race, a bit of an early preview, a bit of a reminder of how the race broke down and everything like that. So let's go ahead and dig right in there. So obviously they didn't run there last year. 2020 was the last year that they ran, and like I said, in case you're forgetting kind of how they run, obviously very similar to Michigan of how guys get spread out. It usually turns into more of a fuel mileage and how, you know, strategy really decides the race from the end of stage 2, deciding when you're going to pit, if you want to short pit the field, if you want to run, you know, the runs out. Either way, this is how the race broke down. If you remember that Ryan Blaney blows a tire with quite a few laps to go, and we'll kind of break it down here. I do want to bring up that and this is a sense of where I think previous data does help you, and you can use previous data because, and we're going to look at lap by lap data from this race to kind of give you a reminder of how it broke down. But you can, if you remove driver names and just look at it as driver A, driver B, driver C, I think that will translate very well into how this race will probably play out once we get there, you know, after Daytona and everything, and we'll kind of break it down there. I just want to show you this part of the machine event. We got 4 to go. Yeah, you can see it up there. So we got 4 to go, and I just want to show you, or I want you to take a look at, if I can mute this on my end. Obviously, this is when like, oh, Blaney's slowing down, but pay attention to what these back mark, how many laps they're down. They're down 9 laps. You know, at this point, and I still think we're going to see guys get lapped, and this is what I wanted to show you, the intervals right here. Obviously, those will change because Kyle Busch just passed Blaney, but really, second place was about 5 seconds behind the leader when Bowman had the lead. We're seeing that everybody is basically, you know, at least a second, 2 seconds separating, you know, groups of drivers. Right now, we're in the top 10. Obviously, this is throughout a long run. The race has been going on. We haven't seen a yellow since the end of stage number 2, and so obviously this is, you know, a long run. Guys are getting spread out, but I think it's going to be very similar to that, to where we don't see a lot of lap leaders. We see maybe 2 or 3 guys lead laps, and basically one guy most likely run away with the field, because since it's Auto Club and it's a 2-mile racetrack, you're basically on the gas the entire time. Obviously, you'll slow down in the corners a bit, but over the course of this track, you're not on the brakes a ton. You're basically just letting the car bring its momentum through the corners, and just like you're seeing on the screen here, is that everybody's spread out, everybody's separated, and so I don't expect us to see a bunch of passes. I think qualifying is going to be huge at Auto Club, and the guys who are going to be fastest early in practice, which is where I think that you can take a lot of the practice data at Auto Club here, because look, you're going to arrive to that track and you're either going to be in the top 7 in times or you're not going to be there at all. And so let's go ahead and take a look back at the optimal for this race, which, as you can find at BrandonCruzDFS on Patreon, whether it's this link, the link below, if you want to have this type of stuff. So if you want to look back at past seasons in a very easy way, let's go ahead and find this. Let's go to 2020. We'll look at 2020 data. We'll look at optimals. We'll go to the Cup Series here. And we're going to, and obviously, I mean, we might look at optimals for Daytona maybe in another video, but when we look at Fontana, I don't believe that this lineup was played in the $15, because I don't remember playing Hamlin in this lineup, because I don't have it with me off the top of my head. This is one of the lineups this is one of the times that I did finish first in the contest. It was a pretty chalky line, and so first place split between quite a few people. But I believe that instead of Hamlin being at $9,200, we had Ryan Blaney in at $94. Yeah, because this lineup leaves $300 on the table. If you move up from Hamlin to Blainey at 94, you would have had $100 left. So the Blainey instead of Hamlin is the lineup that I believe was played. Either way, not entirely important, but we did see Ryan Blaney, the man who led 54 laps in this race, end up walking away with 54.5 points. Didn't necessarily kill you there when he blew the tire, but he lost a ton of positions late in that race. And really what saved him from going more laps down, and we'll look, like I said, we'll look at the lap by lap data, but look at how many people were already lapped. He was basically the second. Really, he finished the race, the first car 1 lap down, got passed by Custer at the end, but really, he was just losing the spots of the guys still in the lead lap. There's so many guys trapped lap down in this race that he didn't fall back more than he probably should have in this race. When you look at the amount of lap lead points that he had 13.5. Alex Bowman, 27.5. So this is a race to where nailing the lap leader at Auto Club is going to be important, because there's only 200 laps in that race. So you need the guy who's getting the laps led, who's getting the fast laps, which is we're seeing in these here. Alex Bowman had the most fastest lap points out of anyone, most lap led points, ended up walking away with a total score of 108. Anyway, very, very interesting type of a lineup, and this is what I mean, that it was pretty chalky in a sense that a lot of the place differential plays did come through. Truex Jr. started in the back of the field, so you basically had to play Martin Truex Jr. in this race. You had Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin both qualify pretty poorly. Same thing with Chastain, and so this is where it turned into a pretty chalky type of lineup. And so I don't think we're necessarily going to see that type of chalk fest this time around at Auto Club in 2022. But the idea of basically, you know, nailing that 1 to 2 lap leader type of race. I always say 3 because I always like to try and grab the guy who, gets the third amount. If you want to kind of argue, granted it was Denny Hamlin started 28, so he gets a lot of those points from place differential 22 actually. But yeah, anyway, you're just gonna want to nail the lap leader, basically the two fastest cars, I would just argue, and I think it's most likely going to be a 2 dominator type of lineup. Anyway, I do want to bring up the lap by lap data. Let's head back here a little bit. Actually, I need to click that again. Let's go ahead and look at laps here for this race, and we can quickly see that outside of the guys who start in the back, the clear and obvious chalk of Hamlin, of Truex Jr., and you can even argue that Chastain going from 27th to 17th would have been chalky. Same thing with Reddick going from 19th to 11th. But outside of those guys, we really don't see where are we at? We really don't see a ton of guys switching positions. We really just see guys running in the exact same spot that they started in this race at. So we can kind of go on through here. Obviously, right now it's ranked by finishing order, so we can technically kind of work backwards here. But really, the main point of this race is decided on this long run, and so here, I guess we'll kind of go back. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and look at Ryan Blaine. I do want to see where he was. So Ryan Blaney started 16th, the guy that most likely looked good in practice. I'm pretty sure from his times in practice indicated that he would most likely drive through this field pretty quickly. And in this scheme, or in this race, basically, 10 laps in this run, he's up to third, or 12 laps, really. And so, really, this race was Bowman and Blaney as being the 2 fastest cars in this race. We do have a pit stop here on lap 26. Guys basically just pitting to make it to the end of stage 1 here, which I believe is at 60, somewhere around there. And so most guys decided to break this up into basically kind of short pit. If you look at this run, 61 laps, basically 60 laps to the end of stage 1. A lot of guys, the guys who took the most advantage were the guys who actually pitted late. That's what it's more looking like. Let me see here. It's interesting Yaley stayed out so long. Same thing with Ty Dillon. Actually, no, I scratched that. So Dillon's a good example to look at, guys who pitted late in this run. And so, running about 28, 27, stays out, lets some guys cycle back through. Basically ended up where he was running at the end of that run, but short term did lose those positions. I want to try and find the leaders here. Larson pits early. I'm assuming that he sped on pit road because he goes from 13th to 30th. Let's take a guess. What are we looking at? Lap 33. Let's look at his time here. I'm pretty sure Larson probably sped. That's what I'm getting here. Looking at this. Where are you at, Larson, buddy boy? Had an issue. Let me see. That's a long lap. I'm assuming that he got held in pit road or something here, because there's no reason your lap time should be 116 seconds here as everybody else is running. Race pace is 41 seconds, 42. Maybe let's check out early in a run. Maybe a 39. No, everybody's still running 40s. Anyway, I'm assuming that Larson was probably held in pit road here, because that's where he lost a crap load of time here, and I'm pretty sure that's what trapped Larson a lap down early in this race. I'm pretty sure. So let's take a gander. So what is that? Lap 34. We'll kind of look back at this race here. So that's 5 to go. We're gonna need, see if we can find and if we can get through all these ads, which I really should have YouTube Red at this point. What are we looking at? 31 to go. It's probably 36. Let's, tough entry to pit road. Let's see if they talk about
their crew chiefs home for the day.
All right, let's put this on 2x and let's.
He is the only car that is not Vegas because this track has a lot more follow-up.
Mainly just wanted to see, and I probably should have done this before. I just ran into this. I don't know why I'm really diving into the issue that Larson had.
You spend 45 seconds on pit road, including stop. If he runs another couple laps, he will be a lap down to leader Alex Bowman when he pits. Good point, Larry.
Let's see. Larson hasn't pitted yet. Got a bit of rain here. They probably go to commercial. They probably won't have it. Let's see. Oh, we had damage. Hey, that's what happened. Larson got in the wall. Most likely got ran. I know I'm skipping through here. This is obviously a commercial break. Hamlin put Larson in the wall. That's why Larson spent so much time on pit road. That's why. I was really curious because that's a huge loss between 13th and just being trapped in the 30s as a lap down. That's why Hamlin put him in the wall. I was mainly wanting to see how big the gains were if you pitted late in this run. So, like, here's an example of Byron staying out, because let's assume people start pitting lap around 26. He stays out at least 3 more laps longer than people. Gains a few positions there. I know this is, we're going into way more detail than probably what I should be doing it just for this one run. Kurt Busch got passed by one guy. Somebody made moves here. Probably Blaney on this long run. Anyway. Continuing on, we have the end of stage 1. We have yellow. I'm pretty sure it's involving Bowyer. Top of my head, let's find out here. Just for Bell, I bet Bell blew a tire. Or blew a motor. Let's check it out. Lap 80 real quick. Let's see here. Let's get that off there so I don't get crucified. It's so funny. I love these ads, dude. Let's see. I'm assuming that Bell had. Yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah, Bell blew a motor. Just like I said off the top of my head, trying to remember this type of stuff. So Bell blows a motor there. Let's see. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is Bowyer's wreck on lap 92. So let's check it out here. Man, dude, they got so many ads. No, Bowyer just blew a tire. And obviously, you know, when we go to Auto Club, oh, that happened in the middle of pit stops too. That's unfortunate. So we're seeing that really tires are dictating this race more than anything. It dictates the end of the race. When Blaney blows an issue, Bowyer stays out a bit too long here. And so obviously when we go to Auto Club and the reason we see cars spread out this much is due to the tire wear. This is the oldest surface on the NASCAR circuit now. That Auto Club is not Auto Club. Not Atlanta is no longer on the circuit. And so really tires are dictating it. And so in practice, that's going to be important because Goodyear, I'm pretty sure Goodyear is going to bring probably their hardest set of tires to Auto Club, and we're still probably going to see quite a bit of a what is it? You know, a bit of a fall off and quite a bit of tire wear, and so that's what we're looking for in guys who are arriving to the track fast. Like if you can arrive to the track during that warm up that they're going to have, and at least be top 10 in speed, you're going to have a chance of being the guy who's going to be able to take advantage in this race. But yeah, tires and tire fall off. Anyway, we're going to continue there. So we have a yellow. This should take us to lap 120. Let's see if anybody pits between here and now, and nobody does. So we have the end of the stage number 2, and so yet again we stay green. It's a very green race. Guys are spread out, not a whole lot of contact unless you have a tire issue, which at sometimes you will run into tire issues. Let's see if we can find anybody who runs into that late in this race outside of Blaney before this this pit stop, which I'm going to assume that everybody just pits here and nobody pushes it or lose any positions on it. But anyway, you're seeing guys that basically wherever they're running, on lap 142, they're going to be finishing around that area when the race comes through, when everything cycles through in this race. I'm pretty sure Blaney pits. I'm going to assume that Blaney probably just ran over something because he pits later. Pit sequence and start around lap 157. Blaney goes into pit road on 162. Comes out, runs hard. Like I said, he just runs over. I'm pretty sure he runs over something. I don't think he necessarily wears that tire down. Or maybe he does. Haven't listened to the race again. I just remember he had a tire issue there. And obviously we're having, slight changes between everybody up here in front of Blaney because they're passing Blaney. But you're basically running where you came out. Going back to the intervals on this race late in this event, we're seeing here. Let's fast forward a little bit. It goes back to what here. We'll watch the white flag, and we'll watch the intervals here. It just goes back to what I was saying is that we're not going to see a lot of lap leaders. One or two dominators in the lineups, 3 at max. I don't think you need to go to 4. Optimal lineup is most likely going to be a 2 dominator type of lineup because I expect this race to race very similar to the 2020 race, just due to guys being spread out, the tire wear really dictating what happened, this race really being decided on pit road and when you take those pit stops. And I don't think we're going to see a ton of speed. Like I said, I know we have that little warm-up. I know we have that little qualifying session, or not qualifying, we have qualifying. But if you're not starting inside the top 10, I would argue probably top 7, you're not having that car that I believe is going to lead a ton in this race. I think it's going to be you're arriving to the track fast, you're qualifying fast, and this is a race where you can be trimmed out. You can be trimmed out in qualifying, qualify well, and because you're not going to be in a pack and you're starting up front, you can pull away from that field if you're trimmed out. And so that's at least a bit of a summary of the last Auto Club race we had really 2 years ago. And mainly just getting this out there, right now, giving you some stuff to listen to. If you want to support me, support Pierce, support what we're doing this year, check out the Patreon in the link in the description. Thank you for watching this little, kind of summary of the 2020 Auto Club 400s. Thank you for watching.